It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a land of make-believe. Won't you ride along with me? Ride along. Something, what was that?
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. There we go. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
How did you know as many of the lyrics as you actually had?
Because I have children, and they watch Daniel Tiger, which is a children's version of that. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to throw it out there on Thursday. But it's actually a Tech Tuesday on Thursday. Don't worry about it. But in order to talk about these cool things that we're going to talk about for Tech Tuesday, we've got to go over to Justin Smith.
Well, thank you, Steve. That is very nice of you to have an introduction like that. I feel lucky every time you do it. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. It is both Tech Tuesday and it also is Throw It Out There Thursday. But hold on to your Throw It Out There questions towards the end, okay, so we can get through a little bit of the tech, because it's really cool tech, especially about ProRs. That's Polaris, ProR, Turbo R, all the R's, right? When it comes to tech, we have a lot of new products coming out for this vehicle, but the newest, coolest one is going to be what we're showing you right now, which is a shock lower fork. Some of the guys are actually calling these a tuning fork. The reason is they actually are a pretty damn cool tuning fork. But what is this? All right. Here is a factory lower fork, and here is a ProR. This lower shock fork normally sits in this position, but obviously we've got our version on the car at the moment. This fork is known to have some weaknesses. The fork itself is not necessarily the problem. There are very few, if not any, broken forks. But what actually is the problem with this is how it mates up with the factory shock shaft. Here is a shock shaft, obviously, and we're going to thread that in. Look at the detail right here, real quick. How that threads in, it bottoms out on that step between the threads and the shock shaft. That's the stopping point. Well, what happens if you bottom the car out from 30 feet in the air, some ridiculous jump you probably shouldn't have taken in the first place, or you run the wrong spring package on the system, the spring package goes to bind. What happens as this compresses through the shock, it puts the whole system in a bind and tries to load it sideways. And it goes right to this weak spot in the shaft, mating surface to the clevis, or lower fork. What happens is it shears the stud off, or shears the threads off, and this becomes a two-piece unit. And it leaves the threaded portion of the shaft inside of the lower fork. And as you can tell, if these two parts come apart, you've got a two-piece shock and suspension that's not working anymore, and possibly stuff the corner, roll the vehicle, or even worse. So, how do you cure this threaded portion breaking right at the shelf? Come and take a look at our new fork. Here's kind of a progression. Take a look at these pieces right here. Here's kind of a progression of our design from the factory fork with no support to a 3D printed carbon composite piece that we printed on our printer. Of course, we always print up all of our components in advance and then test fit them. This actually was fit to a ProR and put on the ground to make sure clearance was no issue, and it's strong enough to do that. But we added a little bit of thoughts and ideas to this, and then we go to a billet brick of 7075 to a finished lower loop. Now this lower loop not only is stronger because of the material that we are using compared to the factory stuff, it's also stronger because we add a lot of meat and structure to the sides than the factory unit. But the main reason why this cures the failures is because of this extension, which is a shaft support. This shaft support surrounds the shaft so that there's no breakage between the threaded and shaft portion. This fit is so tight and high tolerance. I'm going to thread this in just a little bit. Unthread it. And see if you guys can hear this. Yeah, that's tight
Daddy.
fit. Yeah, exactly. Good one. Nice. Saw what you did there. But imagine this shaft buried all the way inside there, okay? All of that support and this collar that's in this lower fork is supporting the shaft from trying to move sideways under heavy load or side loading conditions. Typically, when it's too big of a jump or the wrong spring selection goes to bind or anything else that puts a side load on the system. So when you have others, there are other forks on the market. Obviously, there's a couple other billet forks on the market, but they are all exactly like the stock fork, where the shaft buries into the fork or sits flush against the fork. It does not cure the problem. You have to have support. The other thing that is very important, this supported design is patent pending from us and has other patent protections for supporting shafts in previous shaft designs of other shocks that have been on the market and other vehicles in the market. So you're going to find out that the only fork that fixes the issue is ours, and the only fork that can is because it is patent pending and patent protected in other ways. So the only one that does the job, ours. Steve.
Justin, I just want to point out that a tight shaft support is always a good thing.
You know what? Fitment is excellent, sir, especially on the sides.
Always.
That's what you've told me,
Always,
actually.
100%.
Yeah, not so much on the length part. Not a strength issue there. Nope. But let's take a look at that fork on the car again. So fork with shaft support, which is buried up inside this spring perch. And that way it cures all the side loading in the system and doesn't break the shaft. You might ask, hey, does that actually limit some travel? Well, it does if that's all we did. But our fork design also is installed in conjunction with a shorter snubber or bottom out snubber, so that the additional height of the lower fork is also accounted for in the snubber, so you lose no compression and you lose no travel. So no issue. Now, and honestly, if you lost a 1/4 inch of travel on the compression side and you gained a 1/4 inch of travel of ground clearance, no one would ever feel it, no one would ever notice, and it would probably be a good thing. But not that ours does, it does not. Steve, more questions about tech Thursday.
Justin, these things are badass. Take my money, but first, how much are they?
You know what? Excellent question. They are $299. And if you look at anything else that's on the market, they're more money. We're less money, and we're the only one that actually cures the problem. Another thing that brings up, John is looking at me funny because he's thinking problems at the moment. Another problem with some of the other ones that are made is that the width of the competition's fork is too wide, and you can't actually slide a spring divider or a spring kit on with this installed. That's others. Ours is actually designed around that exact diameter and clearance for the spring divider. So this can be installed, and you can install the spring divider, springs, and complete kits without having to remove this from the vehicle. Now, obviously, you have to take the stock one off to put this on, which takes a little bit of effort. You got to heat the thing up and get the Loctite to burn loose, but it's not that hard. And we will supply some other things to help you out with the installations, like instructions. We will also supply a shaft clamp system if you want or need it, so you can hold onto the shaft without damaging it when you do the installation. And, or just bring it to us and we'll take care of it for you. This leads to a lot of other products and a lot of other things that are going to help out the front of the ProR. Limit strap kits can now be installed on that lower mount without having any issue because the shaft is supported. It leads to a lower spring perch that we're in the middle of designing right now that's a 2-piece perch and lowers the spring package a full inch. Why is that important? Because it's very hard to get the right spring rates on the front of a ProR in springs that are currently made, that are easy to get off the shelf. And there's only a couple you can run without having coil bind. If you run into coil bind, you break lower forks and shafts. So by lowering the spring package, it allows us to put more spring packages into the system, and you have better tunability. And spring rates are opened up just like everything else we have on the shelf right now, and we can tune the car even better with that. So those things are on the way. If you guys have any questions on all of the technicality and the design work that went into that lower fork, then bring it up right now before we jump into throw it out there Thursday. John, what?
Sneak peek on the rear.
Sneak peek on the rear?
Yeah, not ready yet, but
Oh, you're talking about secret stuff that we shouldn't, but we are going to talk about anyway, right?
Way to go, John.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Don't, you're breaking your own rules. Come around the back real quick. Another product that we are going to be launching in the next 30 days is rear radius rod kits, high clearance radius rod kits. Some of the things that are on these, and I'm getting away from technical Tuesday now and kind of getting into throw it out there Thursday, you guys. So if you have questions on any of this, just hit me up. 7/8 rod ends. Zoom in on this. That is a humongous rod end for a radius rod kit. Largest one that's ever been put on a UTV, actually. Yes, Steve?
I got nothing.
You're talking about large rods and rod ends, aren't you?
No,
Yeah.
I'm excited. Every time
You
we talk
are.
about large rods, I'm excited because we have the biggest rods on the market. ladies and gentlemen.
This is true. So 7/8 rod ends, 1.5 inch diameter material, 1.25 inch or a 120 wall, I believe is what we're running on this. And high clearance as well, which is one of the first ones we've ever done with that. Hard to see, but if you zoom into this area on the lower, that is actually a billet 4130 machined component that has uniballs in it that's welded into the radius rod. And all of our welds are TIG welded and rosette welded. So there is a drilled hole to hold that whole piece inside there. Why do you rosette stuff? When you take a threaded spud and slide it into a tube, if you just weld it all the way around, that's fine. But if this is not a press fit between the two, then that weld will see flex over and over slightly, and I'm exaggerating, but it's gonna move just a little bit. And it might take a year, 2 years, 3 years, but depending on how you drive it, but that weld on the outside will crack. If, though, you add a rosette, which is the inserted fit, and drill a hole and weld the insert through the tube to the outside on at least 2 spots, you keep that inserted piece from flexing. It can't move within the tube, and you don't have cracks. So it takes a lot more effort, takes more time, more money, but rosette welded spuds are a must if you want to run anything in off-road for a long time. So everything we do is rosetted. Yep. Oh, on to the next. So radius rods, when are they coming? Don't have a price for you yet.
Wasting no time.
Thanks for the segue, John.
Yeah,
That
Jesus.
was really abrupt. So radius rods are going to be about 30 days out. We don't have a price for you yet, but stay tuned. We will let you know. Toe links. We've talked about these. We've promoted these. Here's one right here. This toe link replaces the factory one in this car. The factory one is very thin, has a lot of flex, which means that the tire deflects and that changes toe in the rear every time you hit something heavy. That deflection is kind of a big wiggle in the back. Most of the racers will tell you about it. Rod end in the front, jam nut adjustability. All of our spuds are rosette welded, you'll see on both sides. And this is adjustable on the vehicle, just like a tie rod. Loosen the jam nuts, rotate it by hand. You can do it on the car, and you don't have to pull wheels and tires off and make it a big pain in the butt. Here, toe link in my hand, and toe link installed on a ProR. We have these for ProR, we have them for Turbo R. This clevis in the rear is made, it's CNC'd out of one solid chunk of 4340, and then it is zinc plated for chrome, or at least for rust resistance. Also gives a hardened surface. But this has zero deflection and easy adjustability from in front of the tire on the arm or from the inside by hand, and you can get at the jam nuts really easy. So a must for ProRs and Turbo Rs. What's next, John? Do you have a segue for me?
Come on, Vanna.
Yeah, so we're just going to go through some of the products that we have right now since it's Throw It Out There Thursday. Steve, Mitch, jump in if you got questions, please.
I really don't. Everybody's kind of just listening and checking it out. Yeah.
All right.
We do have a new name for John, though.
Oh,
what is
let's
your
hear it.
new
Let's hear
name?
it.
Premature John is his new name.
I like that a lot. Premature John. All right, so just kind of rolling through everything on this car. Come up to sway bar links. We've got rear sway bar links. We have front sway bar links ready to go. And Mitch has a question.
So
Please.
back to the toe link. Somebody said that aluminum does not rust. That clevis is actually not made of aluminum.
This is true. So you guys, I said that clevis, this one on the shock, this fork, that's aluminum. This one on the toe link is made from 4340 high carbon steel. And then it's zinc plated, so there's no rust on that at all. But that is a steel part. It's all from one chunk of 4340. It's actually a big, it's like 14 pounds of material that we start with to make that. It's extremely strong, overbuilt, and takes us a long time to make. But it's the baddest way to make it. So you can't improve it. That's what we want. Sway bar links, rear, right there. We also have sway bar links for the front, hiding back in there behind all the other goodies. If you guys need any of that, let us know. Also, the sway bar links on this one are 5/8 rod ends. That's a big rod end for sway bar links. Typically, we only have those on some of the X3s. Everything else is 1/2 inch. But Steve, you look like you had something you definitely wanted to say.
But it is for Throw It Out There Thursday, not for Tech Tuesday, and I'd for sure not like to get in trouble by the fun sponge over here.
Please,
Mr. Premature John. Okay,
yeah, please,
cool.
we're past tech.
So off subject, but when will limit straps be available for ProR Walker Evans?
You know what? That is a great question. I believe that these actually do fit. We have them currently, right?
We do not have them currently. Everything else that we're talking about now gotten put in front of them, but they are coming, and I'm trying to push them as fast as we can to get them out for the
Can you give me a
both
date,
the
please?
walkers.
A date that you can have to tell everybody they're not going to make.
Just say 2 weeks, Mitch.
I would love to have them by Halloween. I think that would be cool to go to Glamis and have something out there for walkers for Glamis. So I'm going to say Glamis. That's going to be my goal, and I'm going to give you guys that same date. So
Okay, John.
there you go.
Why are they different on the walker shocks?
Why are the clamps different?
Yeah.
Because we have actually, limb straps on this one, right?
Fox.
Why are they different?
Preload. So the reservoir and the head of the shock on the walker actually sits lower than the Fox. So spring package, spring length actually takes up majority of the shock. So having to come up with a new mount, new clamp, all that is the reason that our normal clamp does not fit on the shock.
Also, diameter of the clamp.
Yes.
So this spacing inside here, this inner diameter, is different on a walker than it is on a Fox. So we do have Fox kits for all the ProRs that have Foxes, but if you've got a walker, just give us a little bit. When the new clamp comes out, then we'll have it for you. Thank you very much, Mitch.
It's coming.
All right, Steve, what do you got?
Jamie Ronk Mills wants to know, does paddle tire size matter when at the dunes?
Size always matters, according to Steve.
Come on,
This is
Jamie,
what
you
I've
should
heard,
know this.
especially on the sides. Wider's better. But paddles absolutely matter. There's a huge, huge science to paddle choice on vehicles. I can't even go into that right now. We're talking, that's hours. But the short you have something with that question? But the short version is you want to have about the tallest tire that your vehicle can take. So say XP or non-turboed UTVs should probably be in the 31 inch range of paddle tire on the max. As you start getting more power or newer ones like these, you can step into a 33 or 35 inch tall paddle. 35s are pushing it, but these are also getting bigger every year. You might find that's going to be more popular. Once you've got a diameter picked, for me, the diameter is important to maintain ground clearance when you're fully bottomed out. If you run a 28 inch tall tire, then the car can actually bottom the skid plate out before it's completely bottomed out, the suspension. If you take a 28 and run to a 32, you've gained 2 inches of ground clearance all the way bottomed out, and it may not hit the skid plate. So that's the important thing with diameter. Next, horsepower and paddle height and number of paddles coincide. So low horsepower, say 90 to 120 horsepower, might take a 10 paddle, short paddle system to give you the RPM you're looking for, to not bog it, and give you the acceleration. As power goes up, say to 200 horsepower, you might find that you would go 10 paddle to a number 2 or number 3 paddle, or go from 10 to 12 paddles. That's usually how you throw it at it. More power, taller paddle, or more paddles. But always keep the tire diameter where you need it for ground clearance. That's it for that one. Yes, John. 10 plus, yes. Small air pressures in paddle tires doesn't necessarily work anymore. That was good for tire flotation reasons 30 years ago. Not so good with UTVs. So 6 or 7 pounds is not a good idea. It'll squish the sidewall and bottom out the vehicle before you use all the travel. If you run 10 to 14 pounds in the tire, you're going to find out the suspension works better. You're not going to bottom it out. And then you start tuning paddle height, the number of paddles from that point on. Yes, Mitch.
Steve Pesci, excuse me, said, looking to add to my order. I already purchased toe links and springs. I want to add the limit straps, shock revalve, and lower shock mount. Can you do everything at Glamis?
Absolutely. Mitch, you can answer that whole question too.
Yes.
I think you should.
Very simple, yes, we can.
Yeah.
If you already have an appointment, call us, we can add it to it. Or if you're looking to do all that stuff at Glamis, still give us a call. We'll get you on the schedule, we'll get you set up. We can definitely do everything at Glamis. So
Steve has
hopefully
something to add to that, I think,
helps.
too.
Yes, we can. No, different question.
Okay, go for it.
Does the length of the sway bar link matter since they are adjustable?
So on vehicles where you can cycle the sway bar arm, the link to the trailing arm, it might droop far enough to overcam the system, or it might compress far enough to try and push it off the mount. Then sway bar link length is extremely important, and you don't want to get too short and too long. The rear of an X3 is a perfect example. You can't miss that by half an inch either way, or it'll screw it up. Normally, though, if you don't have an overcam issue, then sway bar link length is not an issue with, like within an inch or two, it's not an issue. It's not going to change how it functions. On a ProR or a Turbo R, you're good within an inch one way or the other. The only reason that they are adjustable for us is from left to right, because a lot of sway bars don't have the spline exactly clocked perfect. So that would mean when you put the arms on each side, one arm might sit half an inch lower than the other. We want to try and adjust the link to make them even, so the vehicle sits flat on flat ground and isn't loaded one way or the other because the link's too long on one side. That's the only reason why they're adjustable. Usually if it's important for length, with our kits, we tell you, run it at 8 1/4 or run it at 8 3/4. That's the number you have to run. If we don't mention it, it's not that big a deal. Anything else, Steve?
No.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
You're channeling your inner John on that one. Yes. John, you have a question too? Speak up.
What do you have for the Razor 200s?
Whoa.
That was
Whoa.
Did you,
That
What do you
is
have for the
definitely
Razor
an
200s?
excellent segue. You teed that up perfect.
that wasn't even a question. He made that up.
Yeah, I think he did.
Trophy Burrow said it.
Trophy Burrow. We got a ton of stuff for the 200s, and we actually have more stuff every single week. We're gonna do a full promotion on our pile of parts all at one time for you guys and let you know. But right now, we're testing complete sets of Fox RC2 shocks for these. They're not available yet, but we're close. We also have spring kits for these. Not available yet, but we're close. We have rear billet radius rods for these. They're not available, but we can make them and sell them within a few days. We also have tie rod kits with BSD adjustable pin kits for these. Not available, but close. Mitch,
No, they are available.
did I skip anything? What was available?
Tie rods are on the site, ready to go.
How about radius rods?
Radius rods are on the site, ready to go.
What else? Man, I am wrong.
We got front links, rear links, tie rods, radius
What?
rods. It's all on the site.
You
ready
should
to
have
go.
asked Mitch, John. He's the one that
Yeah,
knows.
John.
Start.
premature over here.
So, Mitch, one more time from start to finish. What do we have and what is available?
Tie rods, adjustable. We have front links, we have rear links, we have full radius rod kits. We are testing the full shock package from Fox. That will be available hopefully here in a couple months. Ready to rock and roll, fully valved, sprung, ready to go for the 200.
All right, so go to the site. You can buy everything that we have right now if you want to, and shocks are being tested with spring kits too. Steve.
Justin, there's a really annoying guy in here. His name's John Crowley. He's got a question. The question is, do you guys have anything for Rangers?
Yeah, I think that goes back to Mitch because I saw Mitch playing with something in the shop earlier today.
Mitch was playing with something earlier.
Yes, he was. This is a routine thing. It's right, it's near the bathroom and right around lunchtime every day. I don't know why. But
Sounds
Mitch,
like a good time.
what are we doing with Rangers?
We also have full adjustable QS3 shocks for the Ranger
Fox
XP1000.
shocks for Rangers.
Say what?
For the XP1000, 2-seat, 3-seat, whatever you want to call it. And then we also have them for the Ranger XP1000 Crew, 4-seat or 6-seat, that are going to be released, I would say, in a week or two.
That's
We're gonna
badass. We
have
actually
them ready
have
to
them,
go.
right? You just got to put them on the site after we're done testing.
Yep, we got to do the instruction video on it. We got to test it, and then they will be on the site ready to go. So
That was a great question by John, I must say.
It was. I mean, God, such a pain, but sometimes it's fun.
Premature, but I was right there.
What do you got, Mitch, from Dom? Anything?
you know,
Yeah.
let's see. Are we going to the Sandsport Super Show, Justin?
Yes. Yes, we are. We will be there with a full display semi, a full crew to answer all your questions. We will have some product inside the semi if you want to buy it, but we're not doing shock work at the Sandsport Super Show. We will have some vehicles on display with brand new products. You can take a look at all of these parts as well on a two-seater. And we have the Razor 200 with us. We have a ton of other Fox stuff too, and Fox with us in the booth. You will be able to talk to Steve every single day. You might be able to talk to John a little bit.
Oh, premature John over here.
Yeah, exactly. And
Outside of Building 10.
that's right. Between the grass area and Building 10, we'll have the semi full spread. I will be there, and Dom will be there on Saturday. So if you have questions for us, then hold on to that. We'll be there all day. If you guys have questions and or appointments that you want to set up for Glamis, speaking of schedules and Sandsport Show, then go to the site. You can see our dates for all of our scheduled events and things in Glamis, and call us, and we'll put you on the schedule for whatever date and slot you want.
4 dates?
4 dates. So it's going to be October is Camp Razor and also Halloween. Then you have Thanksgiving, you have New Year's, and Presidents. But check the site. I think it's on the homepage right next to the banners. So what else have I skipped on this one? Back to limit straps. Okay, currently limit straps have been pulled from the site, but now that we have the billet lower fork, the straps are back up and able for you guys to go for it. Steve.
Justin, do our Resi caps fit the Pro and Turbo R?
Excellent question, Mitch. Do we have them, though? I
Yes,
guess
we
is
do.
where I was going with that.
Yes, we do, and yes, they fit.
All right. So we actually need to put them on this for full, product display, right? All right. So yes, Resi caps do fit all the Pro stuff.
I believe we have the smooth ones, and we have the really cool.
two different ones to
looking-
choose.
Yeah, we got options.
Yeah, if you
you
like, gaudy and aggressive, then you have the machine one. If you like to be more subdued, we have smooth. So go to the site, take a look at both of those. If you guys have any more questions about any of this stuff, hit us. If you have any more questions about stuff that means nothing, like how old is John, then let us know. We'll definitely let you know. Hey, Mitch,
That's a good one.
it is premature.
That's a good one.
Question.
So there are a couple questions about this. S&B versus rugged helmet fresh air system.
Does S&B make a system for helmets, or because we're talking about two different things, right? Do they? So I haven't tried.
That
Sounds
might be
bitchin'.
premature, John.
Yeah. You want to talk about? No.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they haven't.
All right. So I haven't used an S&B filter system for helmets, but if it's anything like their engine air filtration is going to work great. Again, the same thing we've always said in the past. The only reason why we don't run one on our race car stuff is for electrical power reasons. We don't have very much left after running a ton of fans. So more electrical draw is hard for us. But I don't see why it wouldn't kill it. Having not used it, I can't give you an opinion. But rugged works good, and so does PCI. Mitch. No,
Steve.
John. Premature.
So I've actually used the rugged helmet air. It blows a ton of air. The only issue I've had with it is if you're going really slow, like rock crawling, it's pretty loud.
Doesn't blow you enough?
And it blows you plenty. But if you're going slow, the air flow is kind of loud, fan noise.
Gotcha.
But most people are going fast in the desert, so it doesn't matter.
There you go. Solid opinion.
And S&B does have a helmet particle separator.
Okay. So
That's enough from you.
All right, Mitch. What do you got?
Stevo714 has a question for you, Stevo.
Okay.
He said, will you guys have Resi caps for a 2.0 Fox at the Sandsport Super Show?
So I'll have to check our inventory, but if we do have them, yes, we will bring them to the Sandsport Show. Sandsport Super Show.
Good question.
Perfect.
So if you guys have plans for the show, make sure that you stop by and see us just outside of Building 10, just west of it. Actually, between Building 10 and the front gate, and between Building 10 and the grass area, courtyard. We'll be there. You can't miss us. Semi, big sign, lots of people. Dom will be there dancing, probably in a tank top. Yeah, for your pleasure. Dom, do you have any questions that you've seen? I know you don't have a mic, but anything you would like to ask?
No, I'm sorry, I'm working.
Okay, never mind.
Right.
Steve,
Yes.
if you don't have anything, we can get out of here.
Nothing.
All right, Mitch, you good?
Solid.
All right, to wrap this up, we have billet lower shock forks that take care of all of the strength issues and failure issues on the shaft of a ProR or Turbo R, available now. Do not wait. We only have 200 sets at the moment, and we're in the middle of building more, but they're going to go fast. Also, we have a ton of other stuff for this vehicle, and it's little brother, so hit us up for that. And we will be packages. John, you were supposed to remind me. Potential packages.
Damn it, John.
Jeez, John.
All right, you guys, we are going to offer shortly, like as in next week, we will have some packages available for the ProR and Turbo R where you can bundle parts together and get a discount. We haven't decided on how much of a discount, but it's going to be substantial. For instance, a link package that might be front sway bar link, rear sway bar links, and toe link together, get a discount for all three. Looking at doing another one too that would be more of a shock-based system where spring kit, limit strap, lower fork, complete package. Everything that actually needs to be combined together to give you the strongest vehicle, last, and ride the best. Those are coming next week. So don't ask us on pricing yet, but it's going to be a good one. You guys will like it. So in the meantime, thanks for your questions. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Send it to Steve to take us out.
Guys, if you don't want your shaft to break, you should visit www.shocktherapyusa.com and buy our Turbo R or Pro R lower fork. Or if you have any questions, please visit, oh my goodness, I messed it up. Call us at the shop, 623-217-4959.